Good morning, everyone. Gabe here. It's very early. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And here we are at the CRF300L Rally in the very messy garage. Please ignore that. I'm about to take off for an adventure ride on the rally here for 5 days. Today I will ride about 8 hours to get to central Massachusetts, and then starting tomorrow I will be doing 3 days to do the Piccadilly Pineapple Adventure Trail, or PPAT. It's an ADV ride, kind of a BDR style ride out in central Massachusetts, created by some like local riders in that area. They posted it on an ADV Rider, and there's a Facebook group for it, which I've been following. So I'm going to try this out. It's shorter than a BDR. I think it was designed to be done in 4 days. I've split it into 3 days though, because I thought it was a little short doing it over 4 days. Like each section would have been a little short and it would have ended early. I'm going to be staying in Airbnbs. There won't be any camping. So I do have the Reckless 80 here on the bike, but it's not fully loaded. There's no tent, there's no sleeping bag, there's no air mattress. So there's clothes, extra riding gear, and enough stuff to make, coffee if I really need to. I probably won't even touch that stuff. I'm just bringing it because I have the space. So that's it. So I'm going to hit the road. I'm going to ride down to Central Mass. I know it's been a while since I made a video about this bike or anything else. And the last video I made was this bike just being tested on the road. That was nearly a year ago now. So I've ridden it a lot, including off-road since. So I'm going to talk about that along the trip, what it's like, what I've done to the bike since, and so on. So yeah, come along for the ride. So I'm back doing a motor vlog. It's been a while, I know. I've got the mic right in front of my face, so I don't know how the sound is going to be, because in the off-road helmet there's not a lot of room for a mic. Anyway, we're going to try it out. We're going to see. So I'm in Vermont somewhere, Green Mountain State and all that. You can see the Green Mountains right in front of me. Very, very cool. Very Vermont. I'm headed towards Massachusetts. I have 150 miles until my destination. I'm going to need to get gas pretty soon. I used 9.3 out of my 12.4 liters in the tank, so pretty soon I'll stop to get gas. And yeah, I just wanted to do a quick update. I haven't talked about the bike or anything like that since last September or maybe August, and now it's June the year after, and I haven't posted anything. So last time I had only ridden this bike on road. I was just finishing the break-in mileage, and I was talking about what it was like on road and what I was thinking about doing with it and all that. So since then I've ridden quite a lot in the nice weather in the intervening period in August, September, and October, and then this year also I rode. So I'm going to talk quickly about that. I'll say the big things that I've changed are the tires and the suspension, and we'll get to the suspension after because it's a bigger topic. But quickly, the bike comes with IRC trail tires. I never got to like them off-road. I did a bunch of rides, including a 2-day long ride in the Get Snow area, north of Get Snow, like kind of the Outaouais region of Quebec, and all kinds of stuff, gravel, dirt even, some sandy stuff. And I never liked the tires. I thought, after days of riding off-road with them, I would just kind of get used to it, but I just never liked them. So finally I gave up and replaced them with a D606 rear, MT21 front, just like I had on my 450. There's a couple of caveats there. The aspects are a little different, so it apparently changes the gearing of the bike the way that removing a tooth on the rear sprocket would. I can't say that I noticed, but I mean, it's a thing. The maybe more notable thing, especially with the MT21 front, is that it judders when the bike comes, right before it comes to a stop. You're down to like a few kilometers an hour right before the full stop happens, and you feel it in the handlebar. There's like a judder. And I thought I had balanced it really badly, or well, because I didn't balance it at all, to be honest, because I never balanced dual sport tires. But I thought I'd balanced it badly, or I had maybe, you know, not got the suspension compressed properly when I, you know, so the axle wasn't even or something. But I disassembled, reassembled, and tried a bunch of times. I even took the tire off and back on. Finally, I did a bunch of Googling, and yeah, apparently this bike in the MT21, that just happens. I don't know if it's because of that aspect ratio thing or what, but anyway, it's not the end of the world. It's only when you're stopping. It feels very stable otherwise, but it's a little weird. So to be considered. The more important upgrade I did over the winter. So at the end of last year, like September, October, I did a 5-day, I think, ride into Ontario towards Sudbury, Algonquin Park and all that, like kind of heading northwest from where I live. And some of that stuff was on these like municipal ATV trails, and they were pretty gnarly. And the suspension, it couldn't. It just, I was just suffering. I was bouncing all over the place. I'd go over a rocky climb. I would deflect everywhere. It didn't feel safe. I didn't like it. So finally I decided, okay, I'm gonna bite the bullet and upgrade the suspension. I promised myself I would go through the whole season without doing it first, and I did. I did the ride with the stock suspension, so I really gave it an honest try before throwing a lot of money at the problem, because I got the Rally Raid kit from the UK front and rear, and all told with the import fees and all that, it was close to $2,000 Canadian, and this bike cost about $8,000 Canadian out the door. So a quarter of this bike's value went into the suspension. Now, it has very nice suspension. It's close to being comparable with the 450. Maybe in some ways I like it better than the 450 suspension. I'm not jumping stuff or whatever, so for me, you know, it's like quite good. But it was expensive. So I did some off-road riding at the beginning of this year to test out the suspension since I installed it over the winter. And yeah, no, I'm happy with it. So with new tires and the new suspension, I am off to do this ride 3 days in Massachusetts, the PPAT, and I will report back later.
Hello. I'm at my Airbnb here for the first night. It was a very long ride to get here. I think total moving time on the bike was more than 7 hours. I was pretty sore and pretty tired of riding by the end of the day. It was also really hot today. So after maybe the first 2 hours this morning, it just got really sweaty. My jacket's over here, and I opened all the vents on it. Well, it's a new jacket, new set of pants for this year. I'll talk about it more maybe later, but basically I got the MSR Adventure jacket and pants to replace some really old cheap gear that I had before that I didn't like so much. Yeah, it seems pretty good, but it's super hot, so I don't know, wearing any kind of jacket and pants is always kind of miserable when it's hot. So anyway, hopefully the temperature will calm down a little. So tomorrow morning I'm going to get up very early, and I'm about 15 minutes away from the beginning of the PPAT. I've got, I think it's 172 miles planned tomorrow. I don't remember the kilometers anymore. My GPS switched itself to miles a while ago, so that's what we're doing, since I'm in the US after all. To put that in context, I was doing 2 sections a day on the MABDR with the exception of section 3, and generally speaking 2 sections a day meant a little over 220, 210, 220 miles, something like that, on most days. So 172 is less, but it's really going to depend on how technical it is, how slow going it is. It might be too much. I don't know. If it's too much, what I'm going to do is somewhere around 4 p.m. I'm going to see what's left, and if there's anything considerable left, we're going to kind of motor it to where we're staying for the night instead of trying to finish it out and, you know, taking risks and ending up way too late. So I'll make that assessment if it needs to be made. You know, maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll finish the whole thing at 2:30. I don't know. It's really hard to say in advance. The only indicator I have about difficulty for the PPAT is that it is considered big bike friendly, but I mean, that means it won't be like enduro stuff or whatever, but it doesn't really mean much else. So we're going to see. With that, I'm going to call it a night. I won't be doing vlogging while I'm actually riding during the off-road, so it'll be more like a montage. But I will kind of talk about it on the way home at the end to have like kind of a fresh in my mind overview. I don't know if I'll be doing voiceover for this video or not after the fact. Guess it's going to depend how good these sections turn out and how many of them I have. See you tomorrow morning. Hello, this is the second day of my trip, the afternoon. I have done riding for today, so now I have done the first third of the PPAT. Since yesterday was just getting down to the beginning. This is my accommodation for the night. I'm staying in a room at the Blooming Inn in Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts. It's a pretty nice room, nice bed. Everything's clean and stuff, so I'm very happy. There's a separate bathroom that's like out the door, and then, you know, in the hall that I have a key for. So yeah, that's pretty good. There's a little balcony out there too. It's pretty nice, although it's super hot right now. I just turned off the air conditioner to make the video so you wouldn't hear it in the background, but I'm going to turn it right back on. So I rode 275 kilometers or 172 miles to do the first third of the PPAT. Moving time was about 6.5 hours, so it's pushing it a little bit on length. There was a fair amount of pavement, especially in the beginning though, so that does speed things up a little, but I think if it would have been all very like off-road, I wouldn't have been able to finish it in a realistic time frame. I got here at like 4:30 in the afternoon. I did leave a little late though. I left at like 9 this morning. I'm definitely going to try to leave earlier tomorrow morning because that's less hours in the heat basically. So if I leave at like, 7:30, that would be a lot better. But it's hard to, get up that early after a full day of riding, and now I've got 2 of those. So we'll see. We'll give it a try. The ride itself was good, and there was a lot of really fun sections, especially some stuff that at first I didn't even think you could ride through, and then I kind of looked at it more carefully, and I saw that you could. This feels like I'm about to drive in somebody's yard. It's marked on the GPS, so I'm going to try it, but I hope this isn't going to be too crazy. Here we go. Pretty sweaty in here. Yeah, let's switch to goggles and quickly. Some really good stuff there. Some cool climbs through the mountains. No really nasty descents, which is good. I don't love descents when they're too steep and rocky. And I only had to skip one little section, just a few hundred feet of a really big water crossing that I didn't want to do solo. When I saw it, I decided to turn around. Okay, I guess we're going to go through here. Oh, that is a lot of water. That is a lot of water. And then it turned out the detour brought me right out on the other side of it, so I barely missed any of the trail. So pretty happy with my first day. And I'm excited to continue tomorrow. Hello, and welcome to the room I'm staying in the third night of my trip, or second day of the PPAT, which is now done. So I've done 2/3 of the PPAT. I wasn't able to do everything today because there was a lot of closed roads, especially in the first half of the day's ride, where I would run into these like road closed signs on these forest roads and stuff. And the first few I saw, I took seriously. And then by like the third one, I was like, maybe they just leave these up, like it's kind of like road closed during winter or whatever. So I decided to just go and see. And of course, I ran into a guy with some kind of equipment doing something to the road. And he was like, hey, man, didn't you see the sign? It means the road's closed. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. So he let me go through, but after that, I stopped. When I saw a road close line, I would detour. So I spent a lot of time today looking at my GPS, backtracking, trying to not miss too much of the track, but ultimately I did miss some of it for sure. There was nowhere I could get through some places without being able to take the routes that were suggested, so I had to go around. It wasn't all bad. I found some fun roads just kind of like going around, so it wasn't like a total waste or anything, but it was frustrating because it definitely meant that I was tracking the miles that I'd done and stuff to see like how much longer I had and how much gas I had and all that, and it wasn't working anymore because I kept having to do these detours, and I didn't know like how long it was going to take. But in the end, I did get to here around 4:30, which is pretty good. But I did start at 8 o'clock this morning, and I only stopped for about an hour today, so that's a lot of riding. I am pretty tired. I'm getting pretty saddle sore from sitting on the bike so much and it being so hot. I do still have 2 more full days of riding ahead of me, so it's going to be a little rough at the end, I think. But we'll see how it goes. The ride itself was nice for what I did get to do today, which is still most of it, I should say. Like I'm making it sound like I missed a lot. I missed maybe 10% of the whole thing. It's not that bad. But what I did do is pretty nice. There was quite a lot of trails through the woods that I really liked, especially ones that came out into farmlands and then back into the woods. Quite a lot of paved steep hill climbs that were really fun as well. I really liked those. So generally some good stuff and a fun ride. So hopefully tomorrow is more of the same. Check this guy out. Hello, buddy. Pretty cool. So here we are at the top of Mount Wachusett. This is the summit parking lot, and this is where the PPAT starts and ends. It is the afternoon of PPAT day 3 or trip day 4, and I'm done. I will say that this morning I skipped about 40 miles of track by taking a shortcut that was very close to where my Airbnb was last night, because I didn't want to end up late like I did yesterday, and I'm getting kind of tired, kind of burnt out, and I still have the very long haul home in the rain tomorrow, most likely. So yeah, I cut a bit, so I had finished a little earlier, and yeah, it's like 3 in the afternoon instead of 5 now, so I don't regret it. But yeah, it was pretty good. What I did ride today was really nice. I still did, a couple 100 kilometers there. It wasn't like a huge amount, maybe 15%, 20% or so of the ride total. No, sorry, total ride probably like 10%, maybe 20% of today, something like that. I don't feel like doing the math, but yeah, it was pretty good. A lot of good terrain, and if I had to give my overall thoughts on the PPAT, like while it's fresh in my mind as I just completed it, I would say that I was surprised by the diversity of the terrain and the kind of scenery and stuff, and the like what kind of things we're riding on, what kind of roads there were. I sort of expected it to be similar to the MABDR maybe, but I actually think there was more like interesting stuff through the woods on ATV style trails, or like 2-track maybe that used to be rode a long time ago, whereas the MABDR or even the Virginia mountain road stuff, it was a bit different of a vibe, I guess because the rock base is different or whatever. But yeah, there was a lot more like dirt to ride on here rather than just rock, although there was plenty of that too, which I liked. So yeah, all in all, it was pretty cool. There was a lot of mountains, a lot of mountain roads. Was pretty good. There were a lot of closed roads, and that was kind of annoying, but you can't do anything about that. And you know, I detoured where I could and went where I could, and yeah, pretty happy with how it all turned out. So that's gonna be it for now, and then tomorrow gonna ride home. I'll probably make a separate vlog video about how I like this bike now with the suspension and everything. You know, what I think about it. I'll make that as a separate video, as something to do on my way home if it's not pouring the whole time. So see you later.
Hey, what's up everybody? Gabe from March of 2026 here, and I know this video recorded in June 2024 is pretty late. I realize that, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit, kind of as an epilogue. I wanted to touch on a topic that never came up in the video, but was actually like a pretty important facet of the trip, and give a little channel update while we're at it, because I realized the last time I uploaded a video was like August or September of 2023. It's been a minute. So let's start with the facet that I mentioned that I didn't talk about in any of the trip footage. I complain a lot about the heat and humidity in the trip, and I mentioned at the very beginning that I split the trip up into 3 days when it was meant to be 4. So I'm rushing, I'm uncomfortable from the heat and the humidity. You know, I don't really like stopping unless I'm going somewhere air conditioned, but even then I'm stopping and I'm stressing out about time and stuff. That wasn't great planning, but most of all what was going on was that I was wearing a helmet that was too tight, and it was making a really bad hot spot on top of my head. And that was happening because in the beginning of 2024 season, I changed my helmet from an old 2016 Bell MX-9 Adventure helmet to a 2023 or 2024 version of the same helmet in the same size and everything. I just wanted to refresh it. It was getting to be like 8 years old. My old one, I'd worn it a lot. I had multiple minor crashes in it. You're not really supposed to wear them past 5 years, allegedly. So I thought after 8, maybe I should change it. I rebought the same helmet because I really like that helmet, but the new version has that MIPS slip plane to help with rotational impacts. A lot of bicycle helmets have that tech. You're seeing it more and more in off-road and even on-road motorcycle helmets. And unfortunately, because that goes at like the top of the helmet, it must have affected how the shape of the thing is, and it started causing that awful hot spot on my head. So basically, you know, wearing the thing for more than an hour or two would get really painful. I hadn't noticed because I bought it and I rode it mostly for an hour or two. And then when I did that long trip where I was wearing it for 6+ and sometimes up to 8 hours on the bike every day, it really started to wear on me, especially after the 5th day. So it was pretty bad. I had like these like scabs under from where I had like rubbed the skin raw on my scalp. Like that's how hard it was pushing. And you combine that with the heat and humidity and this like constant ratcheting pressure on your scalp, like it really is not so much fun. So I don't want to say I didn't enjoy the trip. It wasn't miserable or anything like that, but definitely I was like kind of always distracted by this. And that leads into one of the reasons this video took so long. This video took forever to edit because I tried multiple times and I didn't like what I had. Looking at it, I've got those vlog sections where I'm in hotel rooms talking about what happened during the day. But then when I look at the actual footage of the riding, what I see is a lot of same. You know, I tried to capture the more interesting parts and like cut it up so that you could see the parts of the ride that, you know, were more scenic or had something happen or whatever. But by and large, it's first-person helmet footage. It's not very dynamic. I have a problem where when I stand on the bike, generally the angle is pretty awful. So the most interesting technical terrain, you hardly get to see at all because the camera angle is so bad that it's pointless. So stuff like that. And you know, there's no third person shots. There's no me getting off the bike, setting up a tripod, riding past, doing that a couple times, you know, coming up towards the camera. I wanted to do stuff like that, but I was rushed. I was uncomfortable and hot, and I kind of often just wanted to get it over with and keep moving, and like the idea of stopping and fiddling with stuff and continue, it just really wasn't very appealing to me. So really it was a mistake to split into 3 days instead of the original 4, and of course wearing a helmet that doesn't fit isn't a good plan. There's a moment I really want to call out. I did put it in, but it's got a big flaw and it really bothers me. After the first day of actually riding the PPAT, so like day 2 of the trip, I'm in that hotel room and I'm talking about what happened. And at one point I mentioned, you know, the only detour I did was to go around this really big water crossing. And then I cut to me riding the bike slowly through this like 2-track. And then I stopped the bike and I go, wow, that's a lot of water, or something like that.
Oh, that is a lot of water. That is a lot of water.
And the thing is, I, at that position, could see the water super well and how big it was and how much there was. But because I'm filming on a wide angle camera and I can't, it's mounted to my helmet, so I can't like see what it sees without taking it off, it didn't even occur to me that it wouldn't be visible on the camera. And had I been smart and had I been thinking straight, what I should have done was get off the motorcycle and walk right up to the water, take the camera off the helmet, really film it properly so you could see how impressive and how much water there was, maybe wade into it to show that, right? That kind of thing. But I didn't do any of that because I wasn't thinking about that. Part of that is like an instinct to develop, like that filming instinct that I think some people just have very naturally that I don't. Or they've developed really well. I need to develop that. That's part of it. But the other part of it is it was hot and my head hurt and I was worried about making my hotel room that night, so I wasn't thinking about stuff like that at all. So yeah, I wanted to say that. But otherwise, it was a fun trip. I recommend the route. They have a website now. If you Google search for Piccadilly Pineapple Adventure Trail, you can find the GPX tracks. There's a couple of different options. There's not a ton of information on the site. I think for info, the best place is probably still the Facebook group. So same search, Piccadilly Pineapple Adventure Trail on Facebook will find you the group. And there's probably some info in the ADV rider forums. That's how I originally discovered the thing in the early winter of 2024. And I decided to do that while I was looking for like BDR style rides, you know, in the East Coast. So with that said, you know, I want to make more videos. I know it's been a very long absence. I know I did say in 2023 that I would kind of shift my focus to primarily trip videos, but I didn't mean one video every 2 years only. I meant less vlogs and mostly focusing on trip videos. And it's funny because I've done a lot of riding on the Rally. Since I got it in August of 2023, I've done like 10,000 kilometers on it, and now we're in March of 26. I did the PPAT, I did the PA Wilds BDRX with a friend. We didn't film that, that was like on purpose. We just went to ride it, but I rode that. I did a trip in Western Ontario near Algonquin Park. Well, not Western Ontario, I guess like Northern-ish Ontario, around Sudbury and all that, Algonquin Park, called the OBAR. I didn't finish all of it, but I did a bunch of it with the stock suspension that first year in 2023. I filmed some of that. I did a bunch of 1-day or 2-day rides all over Quebec. So I have a lot of footage. I have hard drives full of rally riding footage. The problem, of course, is that the hard drive space has gotten a lot more expensive lately, so I need to do something with that footage. And I figured, you know, right now it's the winter, I'm vlogging from my car. I prefer driving and talking than sitting at my desk and talking, since I can't ride right now, so I'm doing the vlogs like this. I like the cadence better when I'm also half concentrated on driving, you know. Something about it works better for me. But with that said, I want to use some of that footage. I have some other topics. I have some videos I want to make. So there will be more stuff coming down the pipe. And then of course, riding season should be very soon. So there'll be some actual on-bike videos. There's more trips planned. And I want to do at least one trip in 2026 where the focus of the trip is I will do deliberately short days. I won't go like too far from home. I'll do camping, and I will really focus on making a film, which means rewriting the same sections, dynamic shots, setting up cameras, more interesting stuff. I really want to focus that. I want to make one video where I find it a lot more interesting to watch. So I want to try that. I also want to try to get the length down. I know I'm good at making these like 30+ minute videos. I really want to try to get it to like, I'd like to get the 15-minute mark and it be interesting the whole 15 minutes. We'll see if I can get that done, but I want to really try that this year. So With that said, thanks very much if you watch this whole thing. I really appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Peace.